What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's the Rad Dudes Christmas Special. Man, Cody, what is going on, my dude?
Not much, man. How are you doing? How's everybody doing out there?
I'm doing good. How's everybody doing out there? People are hanging in here right now, so thank you for everybody who's sticking around. If you want to share this out, let people know that the Rad Dudes are live and we are doing our annual Christmas special here, which last year I think was one of our best episodes, I think, personally.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. It was a great idea going through the catalog, which was it was fun going down that the memory lane. So I feel like tonight we're going to go right back down that lane with the actual stuff that we last year was stuff we wish we had. Now we're going to talk about some stuff that we actually did have.
100%. After the Halloween show, people gave us a lot of props, and we're really happy. We showcased pictures of us in costumes. We talked about some of our favorite costumes that we remember growing up for Halloween. It was a fun show going back in time and kind of reminiscing and stuff. And we wanted to kind of do that again tonight. I have a couple pictures of showcasing some Christmases of me as a kid. And as I kind of look at some of these pictures, the more and more I see things in the background that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember having that. And it's weird looking at these because honestly, Christmas was like so magical to me as a kid that when I look at these and I see some of this stuff in the background, or I see some of these gifts that I'm opening, I literally can remember like being there. Doing it like in person, like it was yesterday. And that's what's so wild. No matter which picture I take, I could have been 5, I could have been 8, I could have been 10. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah, 100%. It's just crazy. It's like, I'm always like certain smells will bring me right back to there. So like especially like around Christmas, I'll like be in Hallmark and smell something really weird. And I'll be like, oh my gosh. And like all of a sudden I'm back to like 94 thinking, I'm like, dang, that brought me way back. Then you're like, and then it like reminds you of like a certain toy because it smelled weird. Like, okay, I have something I'll talk about later on, a certain toy that smells weird. And now every time I smell that, I think of that Christmas morning.
Dude, I have a story just like that too with a toy. I think I've talked about it before, but we could definitely talk about it again because it's not anything. I don't know if I got it for Christmas. I could have at one point, but there was a toy growing up that had a specific smell, and that smell has stuck with me for so long, and it actually kind of came back into my life like way later, and I'm like, wow. And as soon as I smelt it, I knew exactly what it was. So it'll be a fun story to definitely talk about. And before we start, we'll just pop over. We'll say what's up to who's in the chat. So if you want to say hi, pop in over now. Dino in the house. Dino says, Merry Early Christmas, Garrett, Cody, everyone in here. I picked up the deluxe version of Reanimator on 4K today from Ignite Films to go my Arrow limited edition out of print box set. He says, check it out while they're still here. I saw the Reanimator set. It's been a crazy week over here. So I saw it. It was like $120 or something. And I'm like, I don't need the bobblehead. I think I'm good. But I haven't checked out the different editions. Reanimator is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I do have, the ones from Arrow, and I would love to get this set. I just got to look at the different versions and find out at price point what I think the best one is. And knowing how things go nowadays, I'm just waiting. Like, I kind of wanted to wait a little bit before I order it. And next week, Second's like, we're doing it too.
I know.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, damn it.
I know.
Feel like that always happens.
Yeah, I feel like that never used to be the case. I feel like it's like, oh, this is finally out on Blu-ray now. And now it's like, okay, well, someone else is going to release this at the same time. It's like, dang.
It's wild how that kind of works. And that's what I'm kind of waiting for. That's why I'm so hesitant about pulling the trigger, but I have to go check it out. And maybe if they say like, they're running out or something, I might just bite the bullet because I do love Reanimator.
That's a pretty cool. I saw it real quick. Did they announce it today? Because I think I saw it either today or yesterday.
I think it was yesterday. It's the 40th, I think, anniversary or something like that. And it's definitely a cool flick. And it is one of those movies that I think 4K will make it look real good. Like, I mean, the Blu-ray looked incredible, so I can only imagine that this would really pop with a lot of those greens.
I was gonna say that green's gonna look really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Saturn Video says, I just finished the killer Demolition Man release from Arrow, easily top 5 of the year. I know we both got it, I think, right, Cody?
Yeah, I got it. I haven't watched it yet.
Did you have a chance to check it out? Okay, no, I haven't. I checked out the special features, and there was like a little documentary and stuff I watched. I watched that, but I haven't gone and watched the movie yet to see how it looks. But I was mostly excited about the Pizza Hut.
the pizza insert.
Dude, like that cut of the movie, the European cut, where they just basically replaced everything Taco Bell with Pizza Hut, like boggled my mind that I'm like, to finally have this and able to watch this version is just going to be kind of cool.
So I know, like, I think I've seen it like online or something. So like when they're at Taco Bell and it's the pizza thing, they're eating like little Taco Bell stuff, right? Like it's not like
that I
pieces of
haven't
pizza.
seen. Like I haven't seen it, but like I've seen clips and stuff where basically like when they talk about the fast food wars, and they're like, the winner is Pizza Hut, and then instead of Taco Bell, and then when they show Pizza Hut, when they show Taco Bell in the US version, in the UK version, the logo is Pizza Hut, where the Taco Bell logo was on the buildings and stuff. So as far as what they're eating, I don't know.
Yeah, because they did a smart thing. The thing that they're eating isn't actually Taco Bell in the movie. It's like something weird and small. Like it's something like it would be like a really, really fancy Taco Bell. Or, like, which it was.
So they could maybe use it just for Pizza Hut per se.
Yeah, be like, this is Pizza Hut without any pizza,
like pizza nuggets or something.
Yeah, that documentary, is it a new documentary?
There's some new stuff on there too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Because man, like when I was in film school, I'm still obsessed with Stallone. I went and like I found everything with him and watched like all those like archival interviews and stuff. So that's cool that it's new stuff.
Mm-hmm. So there's some definitely new stuff on there.
That's good,
So. Yeah, the Pizza Hut cut is that was the clincher for me. Like I just knew I needed to get that, because to me it was just lore. Like you just heard about it, and we talk fast food and shit all the time, but pizza and Taco Bell are probably my two favorites of all time, I think. So for those two to kind of be juggled around, it's kind of like, hell yeah, they're the best.
Yeah.
So super, super cool. But Big Rod is in the house, says, what's going on? Blu-ray Attic is here. What is going on? Tiana is in the house. What is up, girl? It's a rad dude night. Yes, it is. Thank you for being here, kid. Hollow Notes in the house. What is up? Happy holidays to you. Foz Rotten's in the house. What is going on? Tiana likes the beard, Cody.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Maybe it's LTS Nito. Am I saying this? May Belts Nito. Is that right? Well,
sure.
Radness to you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Perry fan in the house. What is going on? Big Rod says the Rad Dudes of America. I love it. He says, preach. I'm assuming you meant when I was talking about how looking at pictures brings me back to the day it was I was opening gifts, and it really, really does. Mel from My Kill Podcast will throw the Rad Pack in the house. Hey, don't forget to kill the like button for the raddest dudes in the tube. Thank you, kiddo.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you. Jake's in the house. I can really only remember bikes and Tinker Toys. 6. So you must be a little older than me, and I'm older than Cody. I don't even know if Tinker Toy. We'll get into some of that. Actually, let me write something down. You saying Tinker Toys just made me think of a big gift I got growing up.
I feel like Tinker Toys came back in the 90s, like when I was younger. Like
they
were like,
did.
like those Lincoln Logs were like coming back.
Logs, dude.
You remember Lincoln Logs?
I remember those in kindergarten. Like,
Lincoln Logs. I remember the way those smelled.
You like smelling them in kindergarten,
dude. I'm always still there, dude. I'm obsessed with like this weird plastic that smells like shower curtains, like fresh shower curtains. So ever since I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, this smells."
Is that
so
what? It's how's that shower curtain back there smells?
Like I know. It's lost its smell.
Oh my god, that's what is that the smell when people walk into your place? They're like, I know this where it's just like air fresheners, but it's just shower curtains.
Yeah, I have shower curtains everywhere. It's what I use on my bedspread.
I love it, man. That is so funny. Speaking of like smells and tastes and stuff like that, man, if you guys haven't, go check out Cody at Doodle Those Movies. He just posted that 90s video on all those spreads, dude.
Thank you.
Oh my god, those pizzeria ones, like as weird as it is, I feel like that would be my favorite.
It was good. Like I was so hesitant when I saw it, and then when I opened it, I was like, oh, like it took me back to opening a bag. I was like, oh my gosh, this smells good, dude. It tastes good too. That and the You're Killing Me S'mores were my favorite.
Those are really cool. You guys go definitely check those out. I looked, the pizzeria ones are sold out. But like to me, like I'm not a big sweets guy, but I'm like a big, like I love like cheese and crackers are like if that's laying out on a table, like a cheese board or whatever, like it's game over. Like I love that shit. So when I saw that pizzeria spread, I'm like, oh, I put that on like a cracker or something. It's probably bomb, dude.
It was really good. This is something I was like, dude, I'm gonna bust this out on Christmas, and you know, have the whole family go at it. You know,
now that's a rad miss if I ever
yeah.
having that out on the table with some crackers, that in the middle as like a dip or something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Holy mackerel!
And then I started thinking, like, man, what other kind of dips can they do? Like a savory dip, because I think that's the first and only savory dip they've done. So I was like, man,
I think it's a good one too, because like those were my favorite chips, because I felt like you were eating a pizza, but it turned into a chip kind of thing. That's how they presented it. And that's really like the taste I remember. Now, what other spreads could they do? Do you remember Goldfish, right? You remember those?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember they had a pizza one? Do you remember that?
Do they not have it anymore? So
I don't know.
I'm not the biggest Goldfish fan for some. I'm one of those guys who, like, if I'm going to eat something like that, I'm going to eat Cheez-Its and not Cheese Nips. I'm not a big fan.
I was going to ask you about that. Cheez-Its or Cheese Nips?
It's Cheez-Its all the way.
Cheese Nips is kind of weird sounding now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure those were around when I was a kid. Like, how many times do you think I was like, "Yo, give me those nips over there"? I want some of those. I mean, cheese nips though always felt like to me they were more cheesier though.
Yeah, I don't know. They felt like more like they left a bad aftertaste in my mouth.
Like too much of like a nip taste.
Yeah.
Cheese nips. Yeah, what could they do savory wise, man? Like I'm trying to think of chips. Like the sour cream and onion Pringles were staples when I was a kid. I don't know if you were a big fan of those.
Yes, but those are still around. Like I can't think of like things like, and I keep thinking I was like, 3D Doritos, but I was like, well, we have Doritos, so you can do like it's like it's hard to think about it.
You know what were good chips back in the day? Remember tater skins?
Yeah, dude.
Those were bomb, dude.
I randomly come across things like tater skins, Dunkaroos, dude. So I was at Target and I found a whole shelf of Dunkaroos, and I was like, I'm gonna grab these for the channel for the month.
Yeah.
They were all expired from like 6 months ago. So like I was like, dang, dude, there's like 30 of them just expired.
Maybe they would have gave it to you, just handed it to you. Here you go, That the dip on the Dunkaroos were really good though. That whatever that like cake batter one was, or whatever had like the little specks in it.
Yeah, but they're not the same anymore. They come with like they're like circle D's, and they're not like the kangaroo anymore.
Oh, you know what else I used to like, but they were kind of weird. Do you remember what were the cheese and crackers where you would like you had the little red stick and you'd have to like put it on the cracker?
Yeah,
what
wasn't
it called?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Handy snack? Was it Handy Snack?
Something like that. Yes, I remember. And they were like little, because they look like little blunts or something.
It's like they came in two. You could get like a cracker, and then you could get like those little
sticks,
like breadsticks or whatever. Yeah.
Wow, I haven't thought about those
inside the thing.
Yeah.
And there was one for a while where instead of the cheese, it was like peanut butter. They had like different ones and stuff. Man.
Yeah. Man, and then remember for a while, like I remember, like it was like an extra large Lunchable. It would come with like an Andes mint and like a little mustard. Like, no, it was like a mustard. It was like a weird mustard.
Now, was that during the time when I was a kid, Lunchables were like one of my favorite things. Like when you had one of those in school, the kids were like, "Oh shit, Lunchable!" But it was only like the turkey cheese, ham and cheese.
Yeah,
that's all it was. But when I got older, I was working at a summer camp, and a lot of kids would bring them in. So that next phase was like kids were bringing in like hamburgers and like
pizza,
hot dogs, and
they had a taco.
I would
one
take
that was
the
really
pizza
weird,
and the nachos from the damn kids. I'd be like, I'll take those. Give me that. And like,
look, thanks. And you're giving them a bologna sandwich.
Yeah, I'm like, give me that pizza, and like you can make it and like put the cheese on it. I love that thing. And the little nachos were bomb. I used to take them from those little guys.
Yeah, man.
And but I didn't understand the hot dog and burger thing. I was like, what is this? It's cold.
Yeah.
Like, what is this thing?
I don't think they lasted that long. It was a good idea. And then like it was like, remember when you'd be the guy who'd bring you'd bring a can of pop to school? People like, wow, it was like wrapped in the tin foil. It's like maybe it was still cold, maybe it wasn't.
The tin foil. When I got to middle school, they had soda machines there. I remember being mind blown when I walked into middle school, and like I can remember the day that we were going into this actually can tell you how old I am. We're going into the lunchroom, and they were exchanging one of the big Pepsi machines out, and they were putting a new one in. or maybe they were just changing the face of it, but it was the Crystal Pepsi front. Like the
Oh,
whole front was Crystal Pepsi, and like that was like the top two, and then it went Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, and went down the thing. But like that's when that first came out. It was like so hot, and I remember like that was the first time I remember going to that machine and getting one for the first time. And I think about it now, and I'm like, man, how cool would a Crystal Pepsi machine
be?
You know?
Yeah, that'd be so cool to have. And you know what? They're probably sitting somewhere like in like some warehouse, just someone just is gonna throw them away or sell them. Like you'll end up like seeing them like in a like so like behind like a store someday and be like, what the hell? I'll take this.
There was a little general store in my town that's been abandoned for probably like 20 years, and it's still there. And it's small, and every time I drive by, I kind of look in the window, and the windows are kind of taped up, but like it's only taped up a certain way, but you can see there's a Coke machine in there, and I'm like, oh, no, what that is.
Dang.
You can see it like sitting in there, and I'm like, what the hell's that doing in there?
I know, it's just like stuff like that. It's like you don't think about it back then, but now you're just like, man, like you know, just like I remember having I had a sucker back in like 96, and it was like the Spice Girls, and it had like, you know, Jerry Halliwell. I was obsessed with Jerry Halliwell when I was a little kid. And I kept that wrapper forever. I still have it, you know. So I don't know where it's at.
You have the wrapper?
Yeah, just the wrapper.
So they go into your house, and you've got the Jerry sucker and some cheese nips on a table.
Yeah,
like that's it. That's Friday night right there.
Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, Marv.
Oh my God! Well, we got more people in here. We are sorry. I want to make sure to say what's up to everybody. I see Mike's in the house. What's up? Santa's ready to kill. What is this? Big Rod says, remember going to Toys R Us and grabbing the cardboard ticket to get Nintendo game out the counter? 100% I do. I remember pre-ordering Mario 3. First time I ever pre-ordered a game. And it was like on back order for a while and stuff. And I remember finally getting it. It felt like forever. But yeah, I definitely remember that. A-Dub says, Merry Christmas. Anthony's in the house. Hey, everyone. I just added you on IG. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for being here, dude. Who else? Alan Smithy's Ghost. What's up?
I do want to say something. If you are in here and you're following me on Instagram and I'm not following you, go ahead and message me, because I am not good with that stuff. So please message me if you are following me and you're in here and I'm not following you.
Big Rod says, shout out to anyone who got a bike for Christmas, then ruin the rims of the paint job trying to get to do BMX tricks. I'm sure we will definitely be talking about that. Fachi, what is up? Go check out Fachi Cinema. What is going on, man? Let's see.
Fachi, I'll be doing a watch along with him tomorrow. We're doing Christmas Vacation.
Ooh, classic.
Yep.
A Christmas Tubi rabbit hole. That Tubi's dangerous. I've been going on a Corey Haim rabbit hole. We're doing a show this weekend. So, yeah, Tubi's dangerous over there. Adrian's in the house. What's going on? Dream Emulator. What is up, dude? What's up, everybody? Chris, that beard is the most festive thing I've seen this year.
Thank you, buddy.
Let me see. All right, there's a bunch of people. Magic Hands is in here. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for being here. We will get into this, or we're going to be talking to you guys all night long. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Also, make sure to go subscribe to @Dude Who Loves Movies. That's Cody's channel, and we are the Rad Dudes. And like we said, the Christmas special last year was a huge hit. The Halloween special we just did was a huge hit. So we kind of took those two ideas and came up with what we're going to talk about tonight. And it's all about nostalgia, going back in time, talking about our childhood, talking about Christmas. And again, Cody and I are not too far in age, but I had a bigger part, like as a little kid in the 80s, and you were more of a little kid more into the 90s, right?
Yeah.
The 90s when I was getting into I was getting about, 10, 12 years old and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be definitely kind of interesting to see like what you remember from those times and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But what's the earliest memory you have when it comes to, a Christmas gift that you wanted, that you remember opening and really just being super excited for it?
Yeah, so when I was really, really little, I remember it was, do you remember those? It was like a racetrack where you put two cars on there and one person would have a remote, another person would have a remote.
Oh, hell yeah,
and they just it'd be like a zigzag kind of thing. Well, I wanted it was a Batman Returns one, and I got it. And it was like the Batmobile and a police police car, and they would just like chase after each other. I remember having that, and I do not have that anymore. If I do, it's packed away in an attic somewhere.
Now it's almost like the thing was it the remote a gun kind of remote, or
yes, it was one of those gun remotes, where you like press it and you can go faster, slower. Yeah, because if you went too fast around the the corners, you'd fly off.
Now, did you I know we both, and I'm going to showcase some stuff too today. I know you have a lot of stuff still packed away in an attic and stuff. Now, do you feel that when you think about it, do you like, wow, I do have quite a bit of stuff from my childhood, or you feel like I've just got like a tail end of whatever's left?
I have everything.
Are you kidding me? What are you waiting for?
You
need to go up there and friggin' do like a vlog or something.
So my grandma, when she has 5 kids, and when they were like kids in the 60s and 70s. So when 50s, 60s, that era, and 70s. So when they got to an age, she sold all that stuff, like all those old vintage toys that came back later on, expensive. And she said it was one of her biggest regrets was not keeping those toys. So when I was a kid, when I was starting to age out, she was like, let's pack these up, let's put them up, because you're gonna want these someday. I was like, okay. So I have all the mask toys, action figures, all kind, street sharks, small soldiers, they're all. But man, I live in Arizona and there's no air conditioning up in the.
Are you almost afraid to go see what they look like up there?
It's gonna be like a melted mess, but
But I mean, that right there, dude, that's a video taking a couple boxes down and opening that for the first time on film and be so heartbroken or so excited.
Man, the action figures I have, like all like the original Batman ones, except for Bob. For some reason, I never had Bob, but I always wanted Bob. All kinds of cool stuff. Some old wrestling figures, from like the early WWE figures from like 92, like those kind of ones.
Like the Hasbros, those are like one of the most expensive figures out there. Like if you have a lot of those like still intact, those are expensive. Yeah, those are pretty sought after.
I got some Demolition Man toys, some Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse,
dude, and those are like more kind of, I would say they're a little more deep cut of a toy, right? Like because it's for like one movie. Like even like the the Last Action Hero stuff, like those were awesome, but like you literally had an action figure line for one single movie that only lasted like a year's time.
Yeah, see, and that was like my thing, because I was huge into movies, so my family would get me like Independence Day action figures, like stuff like whenever a movie came out and I went and saw that movie, like my grandma would take me to KB's and we'd get those action figures. And like action figures were like, they were cheaper back then. They're like $5.
Oh yeah.
So like I would get a bunch of those. I have Congo toys, all kinds of, all those.
You've got to try to get up there, dude. And just get that shit and try to sort it out. I mean, seriously, like it's got to be a gold mine up there.
Yeah, and now's the time too, because it's cooler outside.
100%. I would try to do that. I mean, that's a great video. I mean, I would be super interested to see what you have up there. I love all that stuff, especially because of those deep cut toys. Like, I remember getting into some of the deep cut stuff as well. I mainly was into the more or less popular ones. Like if I can run through, like for one, I was a action figure nut. Like action figures were like my jam, to a point where I had to cut it off when it was like getting way too, like I was getting way too old to be like sitting on a floor on a Saturday morning watching TV and playing with figures. Like I was at like a real deep cutoff.
How old are you, Garrett? Because I want to see if I was the same age, because I was kind of low key playing with some action figures.
Probably was a freshman in high school, I think.
Okay, I started I think before I was going into high school, so probably 8th grade when I was going into high school, because I started playing football. I was on the football team, so I had no time for that kind of stuff. So that's when I just kind of phased out of it. But it was older in my life.
It was crazy. Like all my friends had been like, we're over it, and then I was like, we'll give it then, like so they would get me like a bunch of this shit because I didn't want it. Well, and the last two like figure lines I can remember, like wrestling was always there. Like even when I was in high school, my buddies and I would go to the store, and like if we saw like a Stone Cold or something, we'd be like, oh, let's get it. Like we weren't playing with them per se, but like we were getting them. But the wrestling and Power Rangers was like that line where it was just getting started. And I can remember wanting them because the show had just come out, and going to the stores with my dad like every weekend, and my brother and I looking for them, dude, they were sold out for so long that we just could never get our hands on them. And I can remember just kind of forgetting about it at that point, like, I guess I'm too old for this shit anyways. But I was watching the show on TV, and I went to Universal, or yeah, it had to have been Universal or Disney or something, but I was in Florida, and we went to a store and they had Power Ranger figures, but they were like, it was like, I got the red one, Jason, with like a motorbike, and my brother got Billy with like a motorcycle. They weren't the big ones that they were selling everywhere. These were like smaller
ones.
And then I had the ones
were they the ones
the
with
heads flip.
The heads flip, yeah, okay, yeah. Those were my favorite. Were the heads
so
flip.
We had a couple of those, and then at that point I was just like, I'm done. So we had the Rangers, but that's it. Like, we didn't get any villains or anything, and that was kind of where I was just like, all right, I gotta throw in the towel here. And it's the last thing I kind of remember when it comes to those figures.
Yeah, so that was like 94, 95, 93, 94, 95.
Is that when Rangers debuted, do you think?
It was 93, yeah. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were 3 years.
Was it that early?
3 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, how about you? What was the last line you remember kind of hanging on to?
So, man, once I got really into wrestling, then I just kind of stopped getting those kind of toys, and then I would just play with like wrestling figures. Then I was like all about wrestling, and then sometimes I'd have like Pee Wee Herman would be the referee and stuff like that. So,
now, which figures were you using at the time? Were you using more like the Jack stuff?
So this was like, I got really into like WCW when they were like probably like 98, those kind of action figures.
The vibrators?
The vibrators.
Do you remember those figures? The WCW had the vibrating figures?
Yeah, I know. It wasn't the vibrating one, but it was that. But I did have a lot of, do you remember there was like you might have been too old for this, but it was like, I think it was like $30 and it came with like 10 figures and a wrestling belt. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, it came with like the Rock, Stone, like anybody you wanted. It came with those, and they was like had the plastic body with the rubber arms and legs. So I did have those Jacks, yeah, the smaller ones.
So Did you have the Titantron or anything?
I did have I had Titantrons.
I still have mine in package right there.
Yeah.
So that point.
And they had the one. Remember, it had like the clip, or like it had like a sensor on the foot, and you put the foot on, and it'd start playing the music.
Yeah, exactly.
I had that.
That's so funny. Yeah, so like that was a great one. I mean, I didn't get that for Christmas. I was older at the time, so I remember like just buying that like when I had money. But so what was?
I'll say my grandma also, for a little while, she was like a manager at a Toys R Us for a while. So that was,
your grandmother knew it was up, dude.
Dude, my grandma was, she was getting stuff for me.
Well, it's funny that you say that about your grandmother and like, don't throw away your stuff, because my grandmother used to tell me that all the time. They're going to be valuable. Don't throw those away. And I can remember my mom was kind of like, don't listen to her. Like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And, some stuff was tossed. Some stuff was thrown at a yard sale. Some stuff was, a lot of my video games. I had so many Nintendo games. Like, I had the most games like on the block, but when other systems came out, we used to take those Nintendo games and trade them in to get new games for the new systems at like Babbage's or whatever it was called back then, Electronic Boutique and stuff like that. So we had traded in a lot of our Nintendo stuff, and it pisses me off still to this day. And I actually had my Nintendo, but we used it on a backyard wrestling league and smashed it over someone's head. So that Nintendo, my original one, is all gone now.
That's crazy. Imagine that, man.
And
imagine watching that now.
Too, I think.
Oh yeah, you're probably just like, man, I could really use that Nintendo now.
I would love to have the Nintendo now, but I think I have the video VHS of us smashing that over someone's head.
That's so funny, man.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a sign of the
probably
times,
hurt
man.
Too.
Oh yeah, it wasn't my head. But what do you think is like, unless you said it, I might have misheard, the earliest memory of like, oh, this was a huge gift for me as a kid?
It was that racetrack that I had.
Oh, the racetrack.
Yeah. I remember that. And there was also like, when I was really little, there was a game where like you like press the button and there was a monster that would like pull you in. So like you'd like roll dice and you go around. It looked like it was like a volcano, and then there was a monster in his eyes. You'd like
was
grab
it a board game?
Yeah, it was like a board game, but I just played with the monster in the thing. Kind of like Mousetrap, or you never played the game. You just
100%. I never played the game Mousetrap. I used to set it up and just try to catch the guy in the net or whatever. I'm trying to think what that could have been. I don't know, Fireball Island. I have no idea what that was.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but I can picture it. in the box and everything. I just remember it perfectly. But yeah, that and another one I really liked was, and this is about the smell. It was a Stretch Armstrong. They really Stretch Armstrong in the 90s, and he also had a villain. He was like this red guy, and you put a pump in his head, and then you'd pump him up.
No way.
Yeah.
I remember Stretch, but I don't know if I remember the
Yeah,
villain.
he had a villain, and it sucks too because I remember maybe 10 years later looking at them, and they're all like, like they were all dried up and stuff. So those are no good anymore. So I don't think I have those anymore. I think I threw them away. But knowing me, I probably put them in a box, and they're up there. Even worse now.
Stretch is going to be a mess up there.
Uh-huh.
You go up there, it stretches like he's all over the floor, basically.
Oh yeah, I know he's done for.
He's leaking. I'm trying to think. I could be wrong, but we had Nintendo. I don't remember if we got Nintendo for Christmas. We may have. But I do have a couple Nintendo games here that I know I got on Christmas at some point. And this one is The Karate Kid, which I loved this game as a kid. This was like honestly like one of my favorite games, and being a huge fan of the movie, obviously this was super important. And I always found this one fascinating. And this was Goonies 2, which was super fascinating to me because there was never a Goonies 2. So this always kind of boggled my mind, like what this movie was. And it was just kind of almost, I guess, made up. I don't know if there was ever plans of making a Goonies 2, or they just made a sequel to the Goonies game, which is odd because the original Goonies game, I'm not even sure if they made it for Nintendo in the US. I think they only made it for Nintendo of Japan, but they made a sequel to the game Goonies 2, and the original Goonies, you couldn't get it. So it was super weird the way that kind of worked. And the reason I know that there was a Goonies 1 is because there was a restaurant where I live that when you'd go in, they had like this, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's the only time I've ever seen it. It was almost a table, and you sat in it and you looked down, and the game was like, the screen was looking up on the table.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Yeah.
Okay, so at the restaurant that near my house, there used to be a Super Mario one, and then on the other side, it was like you could almost sit like across from each other. It was the original Goonies game.
Dang, I have a pizza place around me that still has some arcade stuff, and I think they still have one of those things. I never played the table one.
That's
before,
insane, man.
Yeah.
Insane that thing is still around. Oh yeah, so B Maga knew it. Yeah, look at that. So he said Goonies was only in Japan and sequel. Yeah, and which I always felt fascinating because it was part of that table game, like that tabletop video game at a restaurant. And every time I go into that restaurant now, my brother and I always like, remember that game? I wonder if they have it in the back still, like in the storage closet or something like that.
The restaurant is still there, you said?
Oh yeah, it's still there. But
That's
cool. Where the game was,
it's
just empty. Yeah, it's just nothing there.
Dude, like my Dairy Queen used to have like Street Fighter and stuff like that, but they don't have that anymore. Like I miss those days where you'd either rent movies or play video games wherever you went.
100%. Pizza Hut near me used to have like what's that? What was I don't know if you remember, there was a video game that Rad Racer, I think actually was called, where you're the car game. They used to have that right at the front when you would order the pizza, so we'd always play Rad Racer. And then I think they took that out and put in like Mortal Kombat 2 or something like that.
One of my favorite games as a kid was NBA Jams, where it'd be like three people on each team. Yeah.
100%. I mean, man, that was another game that I think I ended up getting for Christmas one year. And that was huge for Sega Genesis, getting NBA Jam. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother story about arcades would be a great video as well to do, because there's so many good memories. I mean, there was a pizza place near my house that had Aliens, and it was the first time I'd ever played that at the arcade, and it scared the shit out of me.
Man, now you go to places who have like video games, and it's like a claw machine, and it has like it's like a stuffed cat, and you're like, what is this? It's like like from some anime or something. It's like, I have no idea nothing is anime. It's just I have no idea what it is, and it's just like random stuff. It's like a purse. It's like what is it? Who's this for?
I saw one at Walmart. It was a claw machine, and inside were all like, it looked like takeout Chinese boxes. I don't know what was in there.
It's probably like
But it was
gift
a
cards
claw
or something.
machine.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's
like you just
crazy.
grab the takeout box. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's in there?
Dude,
It's
and
too funny.
we had this place called Winco open up, and they had this. It was like a normal claw machine, and you could either put $1 in and play it, or you could put $10 for unlimited tries. I was like, that's crazy.
Unlimited tries, like you just play forever.
Yeah, you just played it forever till you won. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is so funny, man.
Yeah.
Look at this. Wait a minute. Big Russ has recently moved back to town I grew up in, and the bowling alley burnt down. They had some classics. I miss it. Santa Cruz still has a good arcade. Do you live there? Santa Cruz is literally like a bucket list place that I've wanted to visit like forever. And we're trying to make it work at some point. But yeah, man, I would love to go visit there.
Yeah.
Here we go. B Mag says the Nintendo Play Choice 10 machines were at arcades. They had 10 NES games, and some of them had Japanese games, including Goonies, original matches. Yeah, that was the first time I played Goonies, and that's how I knew that it existed. But I always looked at the stores, and I'm like, I can't find the Goonies. Where is it? I've played it. And it's because it was only in Japan.
My uncle had a Nintendo, and him and I used to always play. It was Ghostbusters 2, and then we'd play Platoon. It's like, that's a crazy game for a little kid to be playing. Now that I think about it as an adult. Platoon.
Ghostbusters 2 for what, Genesis?
No, it was
arcade.
It was what you call it? A Nintendo.
Was it the one where like they kind of had bigger heads?
I don't think so.
Because I had the original Ghostbusters NES game. It was terrible, but I don't remember what Ghostbusters 2 was.
Yeah. It was fun.
Memories, Cody. What do you got next? It can be any year, any gift, any memory.
Yeah, man. So here, I'm going to show a picture off because I actually do have. I can't remember how old I am, but it was a little after Batman Returns. I was really into Batman. I still am. But I got this. It's
is that like a tent?
It's a tent, but it's a Batmobile. So I'd hang out in that all the time. And it had a steering wheel and everything. It was so cool.
That is sick, dude.
So that was me.
I just still having that now.
I know, really. This I don't think I have. It probably melted for sure.
It's up there all melted. Oh man, that's all. Cody's attic video is gonna be.
It's either gonna be really cool or just so sad. I'll be like, I'll be up there, and then I'm gonna fall through the ceiling.
So that Batmobile tent killer.
Yeah.
I definitely had a lot of tents when I was a kid. I think I definitely had a He-Man one. I'm looking through some of these pictures I can showcase, which is pretty. Let me see if I can get a good one. This one's hard. This is a good one. So this is my brother and I. It's hard to tell, but tell me if you can. Oh, man, my thing is terrible. We are opening the Ghostbusters Proton Pack from 1987. Awesome. That picture is. I don't know why my thing's always blurry when I bring it up front, but yeah, 1987. We're opening the Proton Pack, which from the Ghostbusters was literally like one of our favorite things I think we ever got. Like we used to run around the house and play with those things all day long. I don't know if you ever seen them. They had a plastic backpack. It came with a big foam strip. We'd rip it out. So then because it was silly, you had like this big foam strip. So we just took it out and we just had the regular gun. And man, him and I used to rock those things. Like it felt like for years.
Dang,
you know,
that's awesome.
From
you still have it or no?
I don't have it. You know, it's crazy though. I do have like a replica Proton Pack that I got 2 years ago from Mattel. It was like a limited edition Proton Pack, and it's been sitting on my floor in my movie room for 2 years.
Oh yes, I know. Because
I haven't even opened it yet because I'm like, I'm gonna do unboxing of this, dude.
I feel like that's when I first started watching you or whatnot. It's been longer than 2 years because I've been on YouTube for almost 2 years. So it has to be, dude, it has to be like 3, maybe 4 years, right? Because you've had that for I remember you talking about that a long time ago.
I mean, I had it. I think when Afterlife came out, I already had it. And I remember saying to myself, "Oh, I'm going to unbox this for Afterlife," and then I didn't do it. And then I'm like, "Oh, I'll unbox it for the sequel." And then the sequel came and went, and I'm like, it's at a point where I'm looking at myself. I'm like, really, dude? Like, you have this original, like this replica Proton Pack right here in a box, and you haven't even opened it yet, and for like 3 years. Like that's pretty freaking pathetic.
Well, you know, it's like you open it up and then you're like, oh, well, now what do I do with it? And then of course you have to play with it.
That's kind of my thing. I'm like, where do I display this thing? It's humongous. What am I going to do with it?
I just picture like people outside the house seeing like your windows light up, like like all the you turn off all the lights and you're shooting everywhere. Because
I gotta do it. I mean, is there another Ghostbusters movie in the works that I can kind of try to line it up with? Or what?
I'm sure it's something.
It's pretty sad that, like, you know, I remember when I ordered it, I'm like, I cannot wait to get this thing, and like it comes, and I'm like, I'll open it 3 years later. I'll let it sit here.
That's funny.
Insane. All right, Cody. What else do you got for us? Give us another memory, bro.
Do you remember these?
Dude, the puncher bags?
Yeah, the puncher bags. They had like little spots, and when you hit it, you could it would talk back. It was,
did you think you were Tum Tum?
Oh, dude, I knew I was. Look at that kid. That's probably me thinking I heard him.
When you kick into his balls, do his eyes glow or anything?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's like different spots to hit him, and I remember kicking the bottom where the sand is and always hurting my toes.
Oh yeah, because of the sand.
Yeah. And speaking of a bike, there's a bike back there, but I think that's my sister's bike on the side right there. But yeah, that cool thing.
Big Rod says, "Light up the eyes, boys."
Yeah.
Killer. All right. Speaking of Ghostbusters, I mean, I can throw this up really quick. This was my brother and I holding up. Oh, God, it's so blurry. The VHS. Maybe I can get myself up there. Let me see. Let me see if I can get myself. No. I don't even know how to get myself full screen here. Hold on a second. Okay. Maybe you guys can see. It's blurry, but he's holding up. Oh man, why is it so blurry? The original Ghostbusters VHS tape, which was huge for us growing up. I mean, literally one of our favorites. Now, going to the VHS, I have a little stack here of ones that I knew I got for Christmas. Do you remember any that you recall, like
absolutely
big ones for you as a kid? Let's go into the VHS world right now.
Okay, so every year my uncle would be like, hey, I'll get you a big present. Do you want it to be or I can get you a big present. Do you want a Nintendo 64? He's like, I can either give you a Nintendo 64 or I can get you a bunch of movies. And every year I did movies. But anyways, ever since I was a little kid, I loved getting movies. And I remember one year I got a beanbag chair and like this trunk filled with costumes. But I used the trunk. I would sit on the beanbag chair, use the trunk as like to put my food and my drinks on for like the rest of the winter vacation, and I'd watch a Goofy movie. This is actually the copy you got me, because mine is packed away.
I forgot I got you.
Yeah, you got me a Goofy movie. Yeah, this is the one you got me. So yeah, so I watched this. So I got it for Christmas, and there's like a week left until you go back to school. I watch it maybe 2-3 times a day.
That's awesome, man. It's so funny because again, it goes back to when did that come out? Because I feel like I was older.
95.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, I was in middle school at the time. How's that smell? Nice and fresh.
It does actually, yeah, man. Yeah,
like
I'm glad.
Unused.
Yeah, it smells brand new.
What other ones do you remember being big time as a kid?
So I went to I always try to open a movie that if I knew it was a movie, I try to open it on Christmas Eve. And after a while, my mom would get smart and she would give me a bigger box and tape the movie to the bottom. So I couldn't tell what it was. But after a while, I knew the box and I was like, okay, cool, this is a movie. So one year I went and in 97, I went and saw my first horror movie in theaters, and it was Scream 2. My mom's boyfriend took me, and that's the only way I could go see it because I did not like my mom's boyfriend. I was like, I do not want to see this, but it's my only way to see it. Yeah. And I remember him laughing during the whole thing. He was like, ha, ha, ha. Like, he was just, I don't know if he was like nervous, but he was just laughing.
Yeah, he's like a nervous laugh.
Yeah. And then like, and then like halfway during the movie, he's like, she's the killer. And I was like, you're an idiot. She's not the killer. And then she was the killer. Debbie Salt. And I was like, oh, yeah. No. You know, like now watching that, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes totally sense. But as a kid, I was like, why would that be the killer? Anyways, that was a memory I have. And then a year later, I got it for Christmas. And I remember opening it up and I was so excited for it. And then another year, my uncle got me Dumb and Dumber on VHS. And I remember watching that over and over until I went back to school, you know? So those were like, those three were the ones that I remember the most.
Now, I don't remember how things were. They were probably a little bit cheaper in 95, but I can remember VHS tapes weren't always super cheap.
No.
So we loved movies, and a lot of the time we had movies that were always recorded off TV or something like that, or we'd rent a ton of stuff. We'd rent something like every week. But to actually own a real copy of a movie back then was pretty rare. It was almost like you get some of these on Christmas and like that's it. So with that being said, you might get one or two for Christmas, or and then you have to like live off of those for a year basically. So the amount of watch time a lot of these movies got was insane. Like we would literally like watch the same movies, the same 3 or 4 movies over and over and over again for like 6 months. Yeah, because that's all we had, and we just you know, it was ones we loved so much. And some VHS that I remember that my parents had gotten us, other than that Ghostbusters one, I don't have that one anymore. But as I was looking through some of the pictures, I saw American Tail was another one I remember. Saw it here. Roger Rabbit was another one that we got. Roger Rabbit. This obviously was the big one. This was
oh yes, that's another one I got for Christmas and watched. That's like the earliest. So you asked me what my earliest Christmas memory is. It's getting the VHS of Batman.
So that had been December '89. So
no, I don't, dude. So I would have been, because I was born in June of '88. So I was really, really little. And I remember having that original one.
I'm trying to think what month this came out.
Yeah. I think, yes. Okay. So it came out in June.
So do you think did they rush it to December?
I don't know, but I would not remember that if it came out in '89. So I must say, maybe they got it for me and just saved it for me or something. But I remember that was one of my earliest Christmas presents. I remember loving it. And I remember the house I lived in. I was in like a small white house. And I remember watching it with my uncle. As soon as we put it in, I was asking him 1,000 questions. Like, who's that? Where's that? And now I watch it. Like every time I watch the beginning, it's like the opening credits. I'm asking 1,000 questions. I'm like, is that Robin?
That actor?
I was like, who's that? Yeah. And I was like, where's Robin? Is Robin here? Is Catwoman? You know, I was asking all these questions, and he was just like, oh my god.
Oh my god. I saw it in the theater. So I can remember being super stoked for this release, and we got it for Christmas, and my brother and I were just flipping out because, again, of how big of a movie this was. Like I said, we got Roger Rabbit as well. We got American Tail. These were earlier, though. But the next big one, obviously, was this bad boy, was the other big one on Christmas the following year. Again, probably, I'm going to say these two are probably the two biggest movies of my childhood. And then Jurassic Park was another big one. I don't have that on me. I should still have it, but then obviously there comes Batman Returns, which was another big one. So some of those were like the biggest VHS memories that I remember as a kid and getting for Christmas. And my uncle, who was the guy who got me into horror, he would buy me these every year, and I have a couple left, and that's the Godzilla movies. So Godzilla vs. Megalon, this was my original tape. Son of Godzilla, which is another one he snagged for me. Godzilla vs. Gigan, which is another one he got for me. And the other one that he got for me, I don't own, but it was Godzilla vs. Mecha Godzilla in like a red case. But he used to get those for me every year, and I loved Godzilla. So VHS and Christmas were always like, they always just went together, because that's when I was able to actually get legitimate copies of some of these movies. And it just meant a lot.
Same here. And like, speaking of movies, like I got I remember getting those. Another one, a popular one, and this is weird, I remember getting the Rage Carry 2 and Varsity Blues. And I remember watching those over and over again. Yeah, because I remember one year it was on a free preview weekend hosted by Sinbad, and those two were on it. And I remember watching it, and I was telling my grandma how I liked him a lot or whatnot. And she got him for me for Christmas.
That is so funny. Like such a random,
random like double feature. I watch them all the time, man. Because I remember I got a TV in my room with a VCR. One, I didn't get it for Christmas or anything, but I remember I got a TV and VCR. And like when you were a kid and got a TV and VCR, that was the coolest thing ever.
In your room. It was
in your room. Yeah. And I remember the two VHSs that were gifted to me when I got those. One was Cliffhanger, and the other one was Breakdown. So I watched those movies over and over again. But I don't think it was Christmas. I think that was more of a birthday thing. But I remember very vividly with those VHSs.
It's so good. I mean, the memories are just unreal. Now, again, we're coming from a different era now of when it comes to music, right? So VHS were still around throughout our childhood. Like they didn't switch over to DVD till we were both a little bit older. But for me, another one for Christmas is not only was I getting toys, not only was I getting movies, but I was also getting music, which is another thing. Like physical media music was stuff that I was getting more or less around Christmas time. Like, you know, they'd find out what I was listening to on the radio, or they'd pay attention to songs I was talking about or singing. And then I would always get a cassette tape or two or multiple. And I do still have a lot of them here, but there's some that I don't have anymore. But when I think about some of the ones that I got throughout the years, it makes me laugh because when I got a little bit older, I remember they grabbing me. Pearl Jam was one I got on cassette. Get a Grip, Aerosmith was another one I can remember getting. Now this was like mid 90s at this point, but some of the ones I can showcase now that I got for Christmas just kind of makes me laugh. So obviously we got Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Dude, that is awesome.
Is the tape I can remember getting.
That is awesome.
And my mother hated him, by the way. She hated Marky Mark. She's like, he's such a jerk. He wears his pants at his ankles, like the saggy pants. I got the follow-up to MC Hammer with Too Legit to Quit.
Hell yeah.
That was
I think my sister
banger.
Had that.
I mean, you had to get Crisscross.
Oh, yeah. I love Crisscross.
That was just funny. So I got Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown.
One of my favorite freaking albums, dude. I can remember getting this for Christmas. And then like a year or two later, I got the follow-up with the other Bobby Brown, Bobby.
Dude, people forget how
humping around.
Yeah, dude. People forget how freaking awesome Bobby Brown was, man.
Oh my god,
he had those hits, man.
Dude, and it is funny when I see this because like the big hit on this was Humping Around, and I mean, what year did this come out? And how
you're
old was I when I bought?
So you know what's funny, man? So I remember my first three cassettes. One was a single I got, and they were for Christmas. The one was Drew Hill In My Bed. It was the single. And like that was like 96, so I had to be like 8 years old. So I'm like banging to that. And then my mom got me The Bachelor Genuine tape. So I'm listening to Pony, you know, and I remember I got also My Way from Usher. So I'm just like listening to all this like sexy R&B. And I remember I would listen to tapes while I was taking a bath. So I'm just like listening. I'm like listening to Nice and Slow while I'm like like playing with a shark in the bathtub, you know.
Maybe
like,
when we're grinding, I get
7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my garage, you know, just like I have like this like fake beard on, you know, like in this like
God.
With studs.
Well, it's funny you say that because the two cassettes that I don't have anymore were probably the two most risque ones that I was like, my mom was my dad didn't know nor cared. My mother was pretty on top of some stuff. So when I think back on a lot of this, like she was very like, oh, if it's got a parental advisory sticker, I don't want you to get it. If it's rated R, you can't watch it unless it's on TV. Like she was pretty strict when it came to certain things. But like, okay, the two I don't have that I had written down here was she got me Color Me Bad, which was Sex You Up was the song.
I wanna sex you up.
Yeah, that was a Christmas present. And TLC, Let's Talk About Sex, was another Christmas present that I got those two cassettes. And I think about it now and I'm like, what years did those come out? Like 90?
Yeah.
So I was
let's talk
under 10.
Let's Talk About Sex was like the first one, right? And then after that was Crazy Sexy Cool. Because I got my sister had Crazy Sexy Cool, so I remember listening to that all the time.
So I don't have those anymore, but it's just those are the two that just bog my mind. But the other two big ones for me, and if Allie's in here, I had the original New Kids on the Block. So
Yeah.
Hanging Tough was the one that everybody was killing it to. So
Mhm.
when Christmas came, they got me the original New Kids on the Block, which was the album that came out before Hanging Tough. That was actually it wasn't a popular album, but it's a real good album. But nobody knew it because they didn't get big until the album afterwards. And then at this time, this had just come out, and this is the Merry Christmas New Kids on the Block cassette tape, which is interesting because
Funky Christmas.
Hell yeah, dude. Career Opportunities, the movie, when you watch that and they're in Target, this is like all over the walls.
Yes, it's so funny because when I watch Career Opportunities, there's a scene where they're over in like the media section, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's New Kids on the Block, and then I'm trying to look at the movies they have back there. Yeah,
isn't that wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a reel right there. I gotta make is watching that and pointing that out. That's on the back side of that wall.
Yeah, dude, that is funny, man. So many good memories with those. It's just to think about like what the kids listen to now. Like it's like, you know, like was I the only, like obviously I wasn't the only kid listening to like Nice and Slow. Like there were other people out there. like were other kids listening to Barney? You know, I'm over here listening to Usher. And like and Keith Sweat, man. Keith Sweat was huge in my house in the 90s, man. Keith Sweat was big.
New Edition had to be pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
I love all that stuff, man.
I
see Mizzy in here. What's up, dude? And everybody else who's in the chat, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Davey, Horror House, I see you. Ragnar, Liana, Tina, I see you all in here. Thank you for all being here. It's just we got a lot going on here, so
so many different memories.
Oh, many memories coming up.
I do want to know because we were talking about Dumb and Dumber, but anyways, there's a picture of me on it's Christmas '96, but I'm wearing
no pants. What else?
Yeah, no pants. I'm wearing no pants. Yeah, but I'm wearing a Dolphins hat. So, anyways, I became a huge Dan Marino fan because of Ace Ventura. So I was wearing all kinds of dolphin stuff back in the day.
Now, wait a minute. What's in the back? Is that like some kind of like wicker ottoman, or are those weights, like the barbell weights? What was that stack behind you? What is that right there?
Yeah, it's a wicker chair.
Oh, the wicker chairs, dude.
Dude, my grandma still sits in that wicker chair.
Does she?
Yeah. And then there's like a what is it?
Remember, like the pieces would kind of stick out, and you'd have to break them because you get poked.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but then we have like this waiter, but you can't really see it back there. But my great grandpa made that, and it looks really crazy. It's not a teepee. I don't know what it is. It's a box though, but it looks like a teepee, doesn't it?
It does. Look like one, yeah.
You know what those are? Me and my sister both got. Wow, this is a memory I haven't thought about in forever.
That's why this show's good, man.
So I was excited to see these presents. I was like, "What are they?" They were unicycles. Me and my sister both got unicycles, and they were. I could never ride it. I was too small. It was so hard, and it even came with like these they look like poles that you'd use to
like ski.
And it was not safe. I was so afraid of it, and I never learned.
I've never been on a unicycle, man.
Dude, I don't recommend it. It was
it's scary to think about.
It was. I was like, dude, this is crazy. But yeah, that's funny, man. What else is on the floor back there?
It's so funny to look at some of these pictures and see different things on the floor. Like this one right here, it's me holding a signed Ken Griffey Jr. ball, which I still own to this day. That was like my big gift that year. I wish there was a date on this. It had to have been after 89 because his rookie was 89. So it had to have been after that for sure. And this one, you probably don't remember this, but Galoob did a WCW line back in the early 90s.
Galoob?
And Galoob did. So it was like, I have them all still. It was Sting, Luger, Flair, Barry Windham, Arn, Butch Reed, and Ron Simmons. They were Doom, Sid Vicious, Flying Brian, Z-Man. It was like it was a line, and you can't barely see it in here, but I got the ring, which I would give anything to have that again. But what's so funny about this is you can let me see if I can blow this up. Oh my god. I'm wearing. Oh, come on. You can't see that white T-shirt right there.
Yeah, I see your white T-shirt. Yeah,
it's cool, like the cigarette logo.
Oh, it is, dude. I had Joe Camel boxers that I wore as shorts.
So my father must have got me this. It's the cool cigarette T-shirt.
That's funny. Cool. Spelled with a K. I remember.
Yeah, KOOLEN green. It's so funny.
That's funny, man.
Oh my god,
that is great. And I have two pictures of that Christmas, that 96, but you can't really see what I'm looking, but it's like me and my sister hanging out. You can see those damn boxes in the back again.
Yeah, look, there's that wicker chair again.
And then
what do you got in there?
I don't know. But why does it look so dark? I must be, oh, you know what? This was when I was young, so I was probably getting up at like 4:00 in the morning to open presents.
You were one of those?
Yeah, man, I was up.
Now I'm sure people would Camel had some great merch back in the day, 100%. Do you ever remember I was doing this in high school. I don't know if you might have been too young. Marlboro used to do the miles. Okay, so Marlboro did this thing where they would like do Marlboro miles. So like on every pack, there was like this little piece that you have to cut off, and you would collect them. And after you got a certain amount of points, they had a catalog that you could order some shit.
Maybe I do remember that. Yes.
So my father, he was a big smoker, so we used to get a lot of those miles. And my friends and I, every time we'd be out and about and we'd see a pack of cigarettes like anywhere in the trash on the ground, we'd friggin' go after it and try to get those damn miles. Like
that's funny.
Just like random packs of cigarettes. They could have been like squished in like the pavement, like for cars ran over it. We'd run out in the street and like try to find the miles. I think we got like a jacket or something one time, or a water bottle or something. Oh yeah, see, Big Rod Rim is Marlboro Miles.
Marlboro Miles. That's funny.
The point, he's Horror House says he carried a Camel double bag into elementary school.
I was just talking to someone. I forgot who it was. I was talking about how I was in a play in elementary school, and my character had to use a gun. So I had to bring that gun to school, and it was a rifle. So I remember walking to school with a rifle, and then like walking through school, like I'm on the playground with this rifle, you know, just like
nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody said a thing. It's just like, oh, it's for my play. I'm walking around with this rifle. Yeah, no one said anything. Now, yeah, that would not fly. Yeah,
wild.
Oh, I have a picture here of something I got that was big.
I gotta see it.
Okay, so one year I got one of these ride along things. It was a Harley Davidson.
Ooh, look at that thing.
93. Yeah, so this
93.
This might be like a big toy I got there. I remember it went like maybe half a mile. It was so slow. And then I remember I had to wear a helmet once I got to the street. But I remember being so slow where I could walk faster. So I wasn't a big fan of it, and you had to always recharge it. I could walk faster. Yeah, here's another photo of it. Me and my uncle.
You were on that thing. Sick.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool.
Get my photos to come out like that? Is my camera settings? I was having this issue the other day.
You probably have a auto focus where I'm just using like a webcam where it's like it's not as fancy.
This was a bike, and tell me if you know what that thing is that my brother's holding right there.
Oh, is that the Ninja Turtle blimp?
Yeah. So Ninja Turtle blimp, which I wish I still had. That thing was awesome.
I had that too.
And that's me on a Huffy Nitro BMX.
Dang, bike. Huffies, man. Those were the coolest back in the day.
Those were the jams.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. And then obviously going back into, we talked about music, we talked about video cassettes, video games were huge at this time of year for me. I don't know about you.
Not really.
Gamer at all back when you were a kid, or no?
I would play them at my friend's house, but when it came to my house, or when it came to my like Christmas and my presents, I'm like, I can either get like 3 movies or a game. So it was like I always picked the movies over. So
did you have systems at all?
My uncle had a system that I played when he lived with me for a while, when he took care of me for a little bit, and then I had this was back when it was like $100. It was like a Sega Genesis 3. So it was like, this was like back like PlayStation was already out. So this was like not like the cool thing to have. So I got to get, so it was like probably like 90, 97. So I got to play all these cool games that came out in like 94, 95. But it was like a new thing. It was like a really small, and that's when I played all that stuff.
Well, speaking of that, video games were a big one. I'm looking at some of these pictures now, and I see a lot of video game stuff. We talked a little bit about the Karate Kid. I showed Goonies 2. This is a picture of me opening We're not going to be able to see it. Ninja Turtles arcade game and Narc for NES. But can you see the shirt I have on?
Bart Simpson,
baby.
Yeah,
it says,
right here. I got him.
Don't
right
have
here.
a cow, man. Look at you rocking that. So yeah, don't have a cowman t-shirt on. I got Ninja Turtles arcade and Narc. And one of the biggest gifts ever, I think, in my childhood for Christmas was this guy.
That's cool.
This was such a huge deal for us back then because we were Nintendo kids. We were obsessed with Nintendo, absolutely obsessed. And it came a time where it was time to upgrade those systems. Super Nintendo had just come out. And we were just like, oh, we want Super Nintendo, we want Super Nintendo. And I can remember still, it was yesterday, sitting at a Chinese restaurant with my parents. It must have been November or October of that year. And my mom being like, okay, what do you want? Do you want Super Nintendo? Yes. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it for you. If you had to choose between Super Nintendo and Sega, because the kid down the street's mom said they were getting Sega Genesis. And I was like, oh, I have a choice. I can get Sega Genesis. Oh, I want Sega Genesis. So we totally changed our mind right then and there because of the damn commercials with Sonic and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that was so cool, yeah.
So, waking up that morning and having Sega Genesis there was huge. Now, looking back on it, I loved Genesis. I still love Genesis. Super Nintendo was the one system that we never owned, and my brother says we made the wrong choice. Him looking back on it now thinks that we should have chose Super Nintendo over Sega. I still don't know if that would have been my decision, but I guess Super Nintendo was a sick system. We just never had it, and nobody in my block had it either. So we never really played Super Nintendo at all because nobody in our neighborhood. We all got Genesis. I think all the parents must have talked and been like, "Let's all get the same thing so they can play at each other's house and swap games and all this."
Yeah.
So that we got Sonic that first Christmas when we got Sega, and I got this bad boy, which was
Royal Rumble.
the Royal Rumble for Sega Genesis. This thing was so sick because this was the first time that we played a wrestling game where you could actually beat up the referee, and my brother and I would go ham
on the referee.
On that ref, dude. It was insane. We loved that. And looking at these other ones too, I see myself here opening Mortal Kombat for the first time. So that was another big one for me. Is the days of Mortal Kombat was just
that was huge for Christmas. They even had a Simpsons episode. Do you remember? Have you seen that episode where Bart steals the new Mortal Kombat coming out? It's Mortal Kombat 3, and he gets caught, so he's not allowed back to the mall or at the store, and then his they're going to do a family portrait at this same store, so he's trying to dodge the security guard. Yeah, it's a good episode.
I never saw that.
It's all about him wanting the new Street Fighter, but it's called something else, but it's based on Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. One of those,
Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, those were so huge around that time. It was insane. I see people over here fighting about what was better, Nintendo or Sega. It was a great battle, man. It was honestly a battle. It was the Monday Night Wars, but with 16-bit systems. It was insane that people were doing that. And people talking about the Wish Book and be like, hey, do you remember circling the Wish? If you guys remember that, you want to go back and watch last year's episode with me and Cody, because our Christmas episode last year was going through those Wish Books. We have them, and we were kind of making up fake lists and stuff. So it's bringing back that nostalgia of the time. Let me see. Tina says, I had NES and Super NES. I didn't get Sega until my former mistake because he had a Sega. It's funny because Davey says he had NES, but he always wished he had Genesis. We all had SNES. And so I guess it is one of those things that, you kind of always want what you didn't have kind of thing. But I loved Genesis. I can't say anything bad about it, but I didn't get to experience Mario World and, Donkey Kong Country or anything like that.
Yeah, Donkey Kong was awesome
around that time, Dave says, did Nintendo have blast processing? No, that's what the big commercial. Sega does what Nintendo
don't. Yeah. Do you remember, I just got this memory, or I always think about it too. You were talking about your mom was it was in November, so which one do you want? Do you always remember, it would be it'd be I feel like it'd be right after Halloween or even around Halloween, your parents and your family would start being like, oh, like you, oh, can I want this, I want that. They're like, oh, well, maybe Santa will get it for you. It's like, man, it's like everything's like you couldn't get anything. It's like, is it, like, oh, hey, can I get a drink of water? Maybe Santa will bring that to you this year.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
dang,
so funny because we were told like basically she's looked at us right in the eye and say, you're not getting Super Nintendo or Genesis, but if you had to choose one, which would be like, that was you're not getting it, but, and we were both like sitting there and like, why ask us this question then, so when we got it, we were still kind of shocked because my mom was one of those people that like when she said something, it was kind of no bullshit. So like a part of us was like, we're never gonna get it, but why ask us if we did? Which one would we rather get?
That's funny.
So it always was a little bit of a surprise and a shock because we're always kind of told with certain things that it was never going to happen, and that leads into just other big ones for me. And I have a picture here. Unfortunately, I don't have this, which I would love to have it, but when I was in middle school, the big thing at the time was starter jackets were the big thing. And this is a picture of me with a Mighty Ducks starter jacket. The team had just kind of came out, and the jacket was like a purple and teal. So I have the Mighty Ducks one. I do not own that jacket, but if you guys watched the show last year, I do own this.
If you guys watched the show last year, I show off the Bulls one.
Look at this, baby.
Remember, I showed off the Bulls one last year. Yeah,
mint
Charlotte
edition.
Hornets.
The memories, baby. Who remembers? You can put your cigs in here in the front pocket.
That's funny.
Unbelievable.
Speaking of like, I have like, I don't know, I must have had like, so I was looking through all these photos and I kept seeing like every year I had a different, like I had all these different photos. One I would have like like a Chicago Bulls shirt, but it would be like Taz on it. Then the next, and then the next photo I would have like a Dolphins shirt, but it'd be Taz on it, or I'd have Detroit be Taz on it. But I have a Phoenix Suns stuff. It has Taz on it, but you can't really see. But it has the Phoenix Suns gear right there.
All the bright colors like that. The sweatsuit. That's
the sweatsuit. That's Suns on my pants. Yeah, that's me and my pile of gifts when I was a kid.
That is amazing. And that's what we got to do, guys. We got to start bringing back the loud sweatsuits.
Then here's I don't even know where we're at, but I got that.
The Taz, dude. Look at that.
Yeah, the Taz Chicago Bulls. This is I don't know. Dude. Look at my sister has a
alien
Dennis Rodman alien.
Oh, that's cool.
Chicago Bulls. Yeah,
I love it.
And then I think I have another one with. Let's see here.
Everybody's talking about the ones they had. Guys, tell us if you had a starter jacket, would you have? I see Orlando Magic, Bulls, Seahawks, Orlando. This is sick.
Some more of that.
Look at that. Look, it's like you're like modeling right there.
I have all these photos where I'm like sitting like that. But yeah, what's in the background of this toy? Nothing. I got a basketball hoop back there. That must have been a big present. We would always get one big present for both of us, and it was like, do you see that basketball hoop back there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then here's look at TV back there. The old school TV with this damn wicker chair.
That thing, is that still around? That
wicker chair? It's still around. Is that
TV still around? Up in the attic? That thing's probably worth a lot of money.
I know. Dude, and you know what's cool is that it used to have like a magnet on back of the remote control. You put the magnet on the TV and it would go into the TV. Then you just pop it out when you wanted it.
What?
Yeah, it was wild.
That is sick.
It's good times, man.
A lot of people had
some cool wrapping paper too.
Man, those times it's never going to be the same.
No,
I don't know why. I mean, obviously we're older now, but like even, just talking to people about it, it's not the same. Like we talked about those damn wish books. Like I would go see Santa and literally have like 2 pages of shit to tell him. Like, and now it's kind of like kids just get everything. So it's not that big of a deal to them.
And I was at the mall too. And I was like, I saw this. I was on the top floor and I looked down at Santa. He like had an okay line, but I was like, man, I remember it. Like, if you didn't get there by noon, you couldn't see Santa that day. Like, it was just he was packed for the day.
100%. I remember standing in line. It seemed like at least an hour when I was a little kid, and they actually had to start putting up like a talking reindeer to like keep you occupied because like you were standing in line for so long. So it was like, oh, we're finally at the reindeer, so we can talk to him for a minute, and then we're gonna go on to the next waiting part or whatever. But yeah, I agree. I think the '90s were the last big hurrah. I think honestly, I really do think it was pre-internet, really, like
internet and cell phones. I feel like that's when things changed.
For sure, I really do, and like, I'm not saving the internet like in general. I'm thinking like later, like Google, Amazon, that all kind of stuff.
Yeah. See, when I was younger, I remember I was like, man, things really changed once like our friends got cars, because like half the fun was getting to the place we were going by foot. So that took out the adventure right there. We would just get in a car and then we'd be there. So I was like, man, things changed that way. But I definitely think it was like, having cell phones. And I'm glad, like, when I graduated high school, I remember like cell phones were just getting popular, like the big, like bigger. So like I didn't even have a cell phone until after I graduated high school. And that was like 2006.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have one until I graduated high school either, but I graduated earlier than you. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's in one aspect, it's like, I love being able to do this. So like, it's so important to have this access to do this. Phones are so easily accessible, but it just sucks because I do feel like it does suck a lot of the magic away. And imagination away and stuff like that. It's sad because, we're talking about all this stuff and I just don't see in 20, 25 years, anybody else doing this about the now.
Yeah, I know what we're really talking about, man. That's another thing. I went to Hot Topic. I like to go to Hot Topic around Christmas, like Hot Topic and Spencer's, all that, just like see what kind of cool throwbacks, like the cool stuff they have. I didn't know anything that was on the wall. I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. So it's like some of the stuff that's becoming nostalgic is like already, I'm too old for the stuff that's becoming nostalgic. And that was a bitter pill to swallow. I was like, I don't know what this is, but like somebody 10 years younger than me are like, oh my God, this is my childhood right here. It's like, dang.
It is hard. Like even the guy that passed away a couple months ago, Liam, whatever.
Yeah. The
One Direction.
One Direction guy. Yeah.
They weren't in my world. I didn't even know who I know of them, but like I wasn't them and Jonas Brothers, like that era of like that might be where like a lot of the kids now, there's nostalgia for that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't even know where that fell in the world. Like what years was that? Because I remember the name and seeing posters at like FYE or something. But it never was a thing for me.
Same with like old school Bieber and stuff. Like
yeah, like I was too old for like when he came out, and he was super popular. It's hard to really understand how big he was because I was way too old. I was like working full time when he was like started,
Yeah, he was like doing the soundtrack for I did like that song Never Say Never for the Karate Kid soundtrack.
What? The new one, the new Karate Kid?
Yeah, the newer one, remember? And like
I don't even know.
With Jaden Smith.
I know the movie, but I don't know. I didn't know he did a song for that.
Yeah, it was called Never Say Never. They showed the music video during like the during the credits. And like what's his name has a verse in it. Will Smith's son. Yeah.
Jaden.
Yes. Yeah. But since we're talking about music, I want to show something that this is kind of sentimental, but so when I was a kid, I had this Michael Jackson thermos. I loved Michael Jackson was like everything. And I played with it. I played with it all the time. Like it was an action figure. And one day my sister, I was running around being, I guess, annoying, and she tripped me and it fell on the ground and shattered. And we were young and like she laughed and I cried. It was really bad. After Michael Jackson died, she got me this for Christmas. And it's the same thing.
What the heck is that?
I used to play with this all the time,
bro.
But this is different. But you used to have a string on stuff.
Never in my life seen that.
Michael Jackson is from '88.
What the hell is that thing?
Yeah,
I was a huge Michael Jackson fan. I mean, Smooth Criminal. I freaking love that.
Yeah, this is the Smooth Criminal right here.
But imagine that though. Imagine like that. That is freaking insane. By the way, I've never even seen that thing. But imagine the imagination that we had to have as kids that you pretended that was an action figure.
Yeah, man,
It's a
it was
fucking cup with legs, dude.
Yeah, what it did, it had a strap so you can put it over your shoulder, and I would have the strap, and I'd be like pretending it was like a doll that's running around. But
like he's like talking to other figures, and it's like, but that's what's so funny is like that's what's so magical about that time is it's like we had to make that work.
And it was like it was so fun, But yeah, this is one of my favorite things. Yeah.
What? That is bonkers to me. Has anybody in the chat ever seen this thing in their life? I've never even knew this existed. The fact that she was able to find it again.
Yeah.
And I can see how that could easily be broken too. I mean, those arms look like they're just about to come off at any time.
Oh, yeah, that was the first thing. And then I remember my mom glued it back together and just was never the same. And she kept saying, Michael Jackson's getting plastic surgery again. And I was just like, yeah. But yeah, so after he passed away, my sister we were adults then, but she found this.
That is awesome, dude. I love it. But I'm just mind blown that I've never seen that in my whole life.
Yeah. I remember the first time I got it when I was a kid, it was on Easter. It was like one of my favorite things. But then when my sister got it for me, it was Christmas. So it must have been Christmas 2009 when she got me this.
I guarantee that thing is probably pretty expensive if you try to search for it. It has to be. Michael Jackson freaking 88 cup with his like dangly legs.
Yeah.
That is a unique item, man. For real.
And his microphone. Yeah, man. I had his history CD, and I just his bad CD is what, like, because like Bart Simpson was hosting, and it was just the time, and like I love Michael Jackson, and especially during the black and white time.
Yeah.
That was my
during that Dangerous album.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool.
That's insane, man. Really, really. That's a cool item for sure. I can't believe you just blasted that out, and my mind is completely blown right now. Wild. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Michael as well. That I'm trying to think if there's any other unique. Well, okay, I have something right here. So very similar story. I had this as a kid and I loved it. And we used to kind of find it funny, my brother and I, and it was thrown away at some point. And probably like 5 years ago, my brother and I used to do like Secret Santa gifts where we buy each other just nostalgic gifts. And he got me this. I don't know if you remember, it was probably before your time, but anybody in the chat remember, he got me inbox Talking Baseball, which was like a video game where you could play like two players. So one person's over here and the other person's over there. And it was like, do you remember those Tiger games that like were so shitty? Like the handheld games. So that's what it kind of looked like. But the commercial for this thing was so epic. It used to say, you turn it on and go, the Eagles versus the Buffaloes.
Yeah.
Talking Baseball. I used to love this damn thing. So he bought this for me a couple of years ago in box, and I was completely blown away because this was one of those toys that, let's see if I can even pull it out of here, that we played with a lot as a kid. Oh yeah, look at this thing.
Oh yeah,
super sick.
Have you played with it with your dad? With your
no, I have not played with it at all. I'm afraid to kind of do anything to it because I don't know if it's gonna like, just like.
Dang!
I caught it right here.
Dang!
Yeah. Oh, we almost just lost one. We almost just lost Talking Baseball. Let me see if I can get this on.
It used to be called didn't it used to be called like Scatomatic Baseball or something like that? Because my uncle used to play it when he was a kid, and I remember like 10 years ago he bought it again, and it was just like that. He played it with his friend who was the same age, so they were like 60 years old, just playing with it.
I don't know. It's just you know what? Let me know what I'm gonna put these batteries in and see what happens right now.
Dang,
this is it. Right? This is you heard it here first. Let's see if this works. This came out in 1988. Let's try it. It's gonna go burr, 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 burr. The Buffaloes. I don't even know if this thing will work.
Top of the first inning. Eagles at bat.
Get out of here.
That's funny.
Top of the first inning. Eagles at bat.
Talk about old school, baby.
Wow.
I can't believe it works. It works. It works. Okay, let me know if anybody remembers the talking baseball. I never had a talk boy. Did you? You had to.
So I didn't have a Talk Boy, but I had a Power Rangers Talk Boy. So it was a Power Rangers. It was like a knockoff, but it was Power Rangers, and it was the medallion. It had like the medallion of the Red Ranger on it from the movie.
And it worked exactly the same way, basically.
Yes, but not as cool as the movie. You know, I'd be like, credit card, you got it. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, like it didn't work like that. I did have this is probably, I know I have it, and I'm sure it doesn't work anymore. I had a Kevin McAllister doll. And like,
dude, I've wanted some of them. I've been looking at those like over the last couple of years to get online. They're cool, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I never had one.
Yeah, you'd pull the string and be like, you guys give up or you're thirsty for more. And if you'd slow down the string, it's like, you guys give up or you're thirsty for more. It's
the father.
Yeah, the father. So I'd always do that, yeah.
No, that is killer, dude. I've always wanted that McAllister doll. Like, now, talking about all this stuff that we got, that we still have, one of my big ones that I have, oh no, I don't have, I sold it, was a GT Interceptor from 1994. It was like it was my first real, like, legit BMX bike. I had some of those Huffy ones, but those were always kind of like the knockoff BMX bike. But when I got a GT Interceptor, my brother got a Dyno Air. Those were like the big deals. Like, we would, you know, had bike jumps in the woods and we'd take those things out. And all the kids in the neighborhood that year seemed to get BMX bikes. That was one of my favorite things that I ever got, but I did sell it to buy another bike. Teddy Ruxpin was my brother's favorite toy. I have it in box. He's buried up there though, and I couldn't get him down.
No,
but that's a huge one. I mean, that was his all-time favorite Christmas gift, was that Teddy Ruxpin. And
yeah. I have a picture. I posted it last year after our Rad Dudes show, but this is these were like my sister's favorite games, so I played them all the time. Here's a picture of me with some
Dream Dream Phone
and Mall Madness.
You have both of those?
The old school one, yeah.
Dude, those are sick. I every time I go to a thrift store, I look at their games, hoping that I'll find those.
Yeah, dude, they re-released them like 10 years ago or something, and they were just not. It didn't. But they weren't the same. Because I remember my sister and I looking at them, and we're like, "Yeah, this is dumb."
I've seen Mall Madness, like a reissue one at the thrift store, but like it's not the same. It's like updated. The characters are like different looking. The stores are all different. It's not the same.
Yeah. Got little rad dudes.
I love that. With the giz.
Gizmo, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, the GTs, I wish I still had my GT. Teddy Ruxpin was way ahead of its time. It's a really good toy. I never had the Slug Guy or whatever his name was, but I do have Ruxpin. And again, Ninja Turtles toys, Ghostbuster toys. Like, these were all things that I was getting, you know, for Christmas and stuff. And I know we had talked about, I don't know if you have anything that you want to mention, but is there anything that you always kind of wanted as a kid that you never had? So
this is something. So I have a couple things here that I always wanted, but I did get it like when I was older for my birthday, or I'm sorry, for Christmas. And you probably remember one of these things here.
Oh,
I remember getting this.
Is that a Spencer one?
Yeah, Spencer one.
Yeah, man.
I remember. I got this when it came out. So this is the I was the original owner of it. But I remember getting it, and it was something I was like, man, like being a kid and getting horror stuff like this was awesome, but it still works and everything. Still in the box.
So sick. Spencer honestly was like one of the only places that had horror-esque figures back then. But all those Spencer exclusives are worth a ton of money now. Like that Glenda doll that you have.
I do have.
Chucky, I mean, that Myers. Yeah, like all those are all like collectible, especially Glenn. Because Chucky and Tiffany, like literally, they had those in the store for like 15 years after those came out. Glenn sold out really quick because I remember I wanted it and I had it and I was like, I'll get them next time. And there was no next time. Hell yeah.
It's the original in the box, and it even has like a certificate in it. You can't see it, but there's like a authenticity.
Oh yeah, right there.
And they're all numbered. They're all numbered. As seen in Bride of Chucky.
I mean, those two dolls right there were the closest to the originals that you at that time you got.
Oh yes, because my whole life I wanted a Chucky doll, and they were just not around. And then when Spencer's came out, I remember my mom bought them for me. But yeah, let me
grab the Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are definitely. I have a Young Myers doll, but anything Spencer's from back in the 90s and 2000s are worth a lot of money.
Here's the Chucky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that was so legit for back then, man. That was the closest you ever got.
And people don't even remember that they came in boxes. Dude, it has a box that came with a stand.
I didn't know they did either. Mine came in a bag.
Yeah, they're in a and I was like, yeah. What year was this? Let's say probably 90. I don't know when this came out. I think it came out around.
It had to have been when Bride of Chucky. Oh,
really,
yeah, maybe Seed, I guess.
Yeah, because I got them all together. I can change the battery. I did try it. The batteries are not working anymore, but that makes sense.
Oh wait, so he talked?
They all talk, yeah, except for Glenn. Yeah, she talks too on the base.
Oh, I didn't have it. I had those, but mine didn't talk. So I must have had like other ones.
Yeah, man. This it might be the stand that he's on. This. Oh. Can you hear it?
Yeah, dude. I always come back. Be careful with that thing, man. That thing is old, and I feel like that plastic piece is just like one glue push away.
I know.
From glue unstick.
I know for coming. And then
That's
you guys,
amazing. My brother had a My Buddy doll, Big Rod. That's so funny.
and I show him off quite often.
There is. I wanted that for so long, man. He was so pricey on eBay.
Still have the tag on it and everything. He was. My mom marked it off. I think $49, $39.
Oh, so it was still a little bit pricey at that point, but
yeah.
Look at him.
Mommy, Daddy, no, killing is bad.
What do they say? Is it shit face? Yeah,
Shit face.
Shit
they call
face.
him shit face.
Shit face. I have a couple things here I can showcase that again, and that's what's nice about these shows too. And that's what is nice about being older and having money, is that having this nostalgic brain like a lot of us do. Like I always had bucket list items that I'm like I always wanted. For whatever reason, I never got them. Either my parents didn't think they were appropriate or whatever, or were something they think I should have. So being older, I was like, I'm going to grab these things. One of the items that I had as a kid that I absolutely loved, I've looked at buying it again, was laser tag, which was like this. It was laser tag game, but you'd get a vest and it would have like this meter on it, and you'd have these big black like laser guns. They were really cool guns. I swear they must have used these in like a lot of sci-fi like movies from the 80s, because they looked like such 80s futuristic guns. And we had those, my brother and I, and you could buy like a helmet and all this other stuff. That's something I've always wanted to rebuy, but I haven't. But I always wanted this. My friend Randy got it for Christmas, but obviously when I got a little bit older, I had to purchase this thing. It was a grail of mine. And even though it worked like shit, but the idea of this is still like, I mean, this goes down as a piece in video game history like no other. And obviously being a fan of the Wizard, I knew I needed this in my life at some point.
That's a real one?
Oh yeah.
That's in great shape.
Oh, it's in really good shape. I got this probably in early 2000s. There's the cord for it right there. So I have this displayed up in my in like a glass case with the orange zapper gun and all that other stuff. So yeah, that was something I always wanted, but it was expensive. It worked like shit. I can understand why they didn't want me to to have it. But you know, when I had some money and I had access to eBay and stuff, it was one of the first things I bought. Another big one for me, which I did get as a gift probably 10 years ago, is something that I always wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
And to find this thing in mint condition is very hard. Either his feet and his hands are all gashed up, or this is missing, or this is broken. But this guy is in like mint condition. And it was always something I wanted as a kid, but I don't know if he was expensive. I don't know if my mom just didn't like the concept. I don't know, but I never was able to get him. But now he sits proudly in my collection. And one more big one I'll show is I always wanted a Boglin. So when I was able to score one of these suckers, I jumped all over because this was another figure that I never had as a kid. And I think it was just the idea of it being, you know, a gross out toy. My mom didn't want me running around the house burping and farting with this thing, but
see, and that my mom would buy me all the burping and farting stuff. Like all the stuff.
I mean, I had Mad Balls, I had those, but you know, it wasn't quite the same. These Boglin things were amazing. So you can still get the Boglin. So if anybody is like, oh my God, that brings back so many memories, you can still get them of all different colors, all different, you know, styles and stuff. They're still out there. So
that was a missed opportunity on having a cartoon for Boglins. Like I could see that being a Saturday morning cartoon for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if those things look like they should be straight out of an 80s movie, you know, 100%.
For sure. Another gift I remember getting from my uncle, it was Jurassic Park Lost World. It was a Jeep, and in the back of not the Jeep, it was like the bus. So you had the bus we were driving, and it had like an extension, and on that extension you can open it up, and it had the operating table, and it came with like the little Kelly figure, and it also came with like a dinosaur that you could operate on, and that was really cool.
Did you have a lot of Jurassic Park toys?
Not as much as you would think, but I did have the action figures, and I had like Jeff Goldblum when he was parasailing. So I had a few, but I didn't like go hard at it.
That was a line of figures that I always wanted as a kid. Like, you know, the dinosaurs, especially. Remember they used to have like a little, was it like a little piece taken out of?
Yeah, it was like a bite. Yeah, it was a bite.
Yeah, I can always remember wanting those. I never had any Jurassic Park figures, but it was always something that I wanted. And people talking about laser tag, and you're right, there was a commercial for laser tag that was literally like a movie, and that's what really sold me on the whole thing as a kid. But yeah, Crossfire, I still have my Crossfire. Actually, it's in perfect condition in the other room. I should have brought that out, but that's another top-notch game if you grew up around that time. Pogs, I was a little old. My brother played with those. Were you into the Pogs?
I was a big Pogs fan, and I remember I had a metal Charles Barkley Slammer. And man, so I never lost with that Slammer.
I know Mel was into Pogs as well too.
I had a Pog maker too. I could make my own Pogs.
What?
Yeah, man, I was legit. I had like a little container I'd put them in, like a Pringle container, and I'd battle people.
Pringle container?
Yeah, well, it was like a Pringle container. Yeah, man, I had like some cool. I had a Yo MTV Raps Pogs. I had all kinds of cool Pogs and Slammers. But yeah,
wasn't there Slammers or Pogs that looked like razors and you could spin them or whatever? Did they have different like designs, like instead of just being circle?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not that I know.
I'm trying to see what people are talking about. Talking about like old school stuff. I have two original Pound Puppies from when I was a kid. I do still have those. I really like those as a kid. Yeah. Those are probably something we got for Christmas too.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I saw that they reissued some Pound Puppies. I bought them for my sister because my sister was huge into Pound Puppies.
I think Target might have put some out one year or something.
Yeah, so I bought them.
I saw someone bring up, which actually made me laugh when I saw it. They asked if anybody had the Peter Pan sword that made noise. Yes, and it was from Hook. Oh, and it was like this sword, and when you would mess with it, it would go ting, 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 ting. Like it make it sound like you were hitting metal. It was like this plastic sword. And that was one of the lines that I got into as a kid after I saw the movie was I bought the Hook figures.
Dang.
But that line didn't really go anywhere. I think it had like 4 figures, 5 figures, and then they announced Series 2, but they never came out.
Yeah. My Pure Hangout, that's his favorite movie of all time is Hook, and he has a huge Hook collection.
Does he really?
And I keep trying to talk him into doing a video, and he wants to someday, but that's his number one movie is Hook. And he has a big collection of Hook stuff. Yeah, like he has he has a video where he was playing with Hook color forms. Remember color forms?
Color forms. I was obsessed with color forms.
Yeah, man. I had Ninja Turtles and wrestling, like WWF back in the day.
I had some wrestling ones. I definitely had a Gremlins one. Color forms. I used to get them at the grocery store. Like if I'd go to the supermarket with my mother, I'd always be like, "Can I have the color forms?" Those things were sweet.
Yeah.
Brian Goes Blue in the house. What's up, man? He said we were watching Home Alone tonight. I noticed that Kevin breaks Buzz's shelves and is a Boglin.
Oh, okay.
And he had I remember the Incredible Melting Man poster. Boglin, I don't remember on there, but that's awesome. Also, he is a Boglin. What up, Tales from the Shelf? A lot of people popping in. Oh, Mel wants to play Pogs with you.
Oh, okay. If you want to play again for money, I'm telling you, I'm taking you out.
Oh, yeah, Razor Pogs. I knew there was something that was
I don't remember Razor Pogs.
You could spin them and it almost looked like they could slice or whatever. Yeah, I remember those days.
Really?
Cabbage Patch Kid. I never had any of those. My neighbor Ashley did.
My sister had the Cabbage Patch Kids, and I had like the wrestlers, the pillow wrestlers.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You got them right here. These were two.
I had Hogan, Macho Man. Yep, I had that Macho Man, and I had Hogan.
These are probably still some of my favorite things I own. I have Series 1, and that's it, just Series 1. But this was the one my brother got Savage, I got Warrior for Christmas, and then I've got DiBiase and Hogan over there. But those, as weird as they are, like were the coolest shit.
Mm-hmm. Then when I was older, like 98, they came out. WCW reissued some.
Yeah,
like I remember they had a Diamond Dallas Page that my friend had, and you they had noses and stuff, and they made noises. So like you break his nose, and, oh, you broke my nose.
I have a Savage one with the black on. Yeah,
okay.
It says Madness on his shirt or whatever. He doesn't work though, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, they came out with their own those. I'm sure they probably have like Sting, Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Nash probably, and then DDP, because I remember playing with the DDP one. Davey
says they should have Cop and a Half figures.
I love Cop and a Half. I wish
you would have been all over those.
Oh
figures,
yeah,
right? That is funny. Oh yeah, so yeah,
Slammer
that looked like a saw.
Huh.
Pogs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I was too old, but yeah, then my brother was making those. The Nerf bow and arrow, I remember that.
Yeah, dude. I remember I was even legit where I remember one year I got like a board. So it was like a Spider-Man board, a circle board. So when I battled, I'd put it on the ground. Dude, I was ready to show. Like I was like, when the Wizard, when they go to the guy who has the
Power glove.
Yeah, that was me going to my house for Pogs.
What was there? Was there like did you just play them on like a table, or was there like a ring or something that you would
usually? Well, like I usually played it on like like a table, like something where you can like flip them over. But I think like carpet was probably the easiest. But yeah, I had it was like a little like plastic table thing, and it was a Spider-Man one. It was like a Pog set, like it was made for Pogs, this little table thing. But
now, B-Maga asked if we remember Dino Riders. I kind of do, but I kind of don't.
I don't actually.
He said Rex in Toy Story was actually molded off the T-Rex for that line. That is interesting.
Oh wow, okay, that's interesting.
People giving the wrestling buddy some love. I do have Muscle Man. I do have those guys there. I have some standing up there. Do you remember those damn things?
Mm-mm.
They came in like little trash cans, and it was basically wrestlers that were just pink.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And they had like all different gimmicks or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Mighty Beans. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember Mighty Beans. Like, did you eat them?
I don't know.
Like were they like jelly beans, or were they like jumping beans? Remember, jumping beans were a weird thing.
I remember of them, but I never owned them.
I never really know. I remember that. Like, I think that was before my time. That, like, dude, I remember like I would always get like it was like a rock cleaner or something. It's like what? Like I would get I got like 3 times when I was a kid. It's like I don't want a rock cleaner. Like,
it was like, the rock. That's like when you get like an alien ant farm or whatever. Like,
an
alien
ant farm. Yeah, an ant farm. You're like sea monkeys too. I used to get sea monkeys all the time. I was like, man, what am I gonna do with this?
This is interesting too. I'm gonna tell you guys something. Do you guys remember the original scooters with the big bouncy tires from the 80s? Super superior. Yes, and you know what? I've been going back and forth about purchasing one for the last 2 years. Mongoose actually re-released them on their website of the ones that came out back in like the 80s and 90s. The
Wow.
freestyle ones are like the white wheels and shit.
Mhm.
And I've been contemplating picking one of those up because I did have some of those as a kid. I used to love those damn things. But yeah, if anybody's interested in those and bringing one of those back into their life, Mongoose re-released their 80s ones on their website, or at least it was on there as of like 6 months ago.
Do you guys remember moon boots? I had some moon boots.
You had moon boots? I never
Yeah.
had those. We had
So-
like the bottom things, like
So actually, because Tina was talking about a pogo ball. I had boots. They were called like moon boot. They were supposed to be like pogo stick shoes, and they didn't work very well. But I had those, and I remember I got those, and my sister got a skip it. So she was like playing with the
Skip
skip
It,
it.
dude.
Remember the skip it?
oh
it?
yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah, B Maga, go on Mongoose. It might still be there. I know they re-released them last year.
Were you might have been probably driving by now, but when I was a kid, like getting older, mountain bikes were getting popular, like 18
I
speed
had a
mountains.
mountain bike and I barely used it, and then I went back
Mhm.
to BMX.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I had one mountain bike, but that's it. Like I barely used it, went back to BMX, and I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 BMX bikes here.
Oh wow. Dang.
Yeah, I don't have my GT. I have the brand was S&M was the name of the brand, and that's the one I bought when I sold my GT. I have a Haro from the 90s. I have an 80s Mongoose here. I've got the S&M, and then I bought a new one during COVID, like a modern
wow.
one, because I had all the other ones and I cleaned them all, bought new parts, and they're all in like mint condition. But when I'm on them as an adult, I felt like I was gonna break them.
Oh wow.
Like I'm
So
like
you're
trying
not-
to do like bunny hops, and I'm like, I'm gonna bust this thing. So I bought like a new bike, thinking that it would hold me better.
Dang. You're like in a. I just see you in your garage practicing the scene from Rad. You know when they're at the dance, like you're like the two twins.
I wish, man. I am terrible now. I used to be pretty good. I'm very bad now. Like it's almost like I'm more afraid, I think, now, because man, I can remember going off jumps and being in midair and having to just like toss the bike and like landing however.
Oh,
now
yeah.
it's like if I tip over, I'm like, I'm gonna break something.
Oh,
So-
dude, I remember flying over my handlebars all the time. It's like I just got up and did it again. Now I'm just like, man, I stub my toe on the couch and I'm rolling on the ground. I'm like, I have a neck brace on and a sling. It's like, what the hell happened, man?
I know, it's crazy. Perry fans asked how the new Kickboxer Steelbook is. I got it, but I got it today. I haven't had a chance to even look at it yet. But yeah, I mean, Cody, is there anything else? I'm looking around here. Is there anything else I brought to the table I haven't showcased yet? No. How about you? Anything else you wanted to talk about, showcase when it comes to memories around this time of year?
I like think about, but I do have a couple more pictures here. I don't know why I have this like football that my girlfriend at the time
Sick.
made. We like painted
What a badass,
football,
dude.
and it said Michigani because that was my nickname in high school. So
Did you ever have the Nerf Turbo football?
No, but I had the Vortex. Vortex.
Which one is that? Is that the one with the little tail?
With the tail, I went. And it would like fly. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I had like
Those
a
are cool.
was I what I call it, a turbo, Nerf Turbo, where you throw it. It had like these spiral things, but it also was a whistler. So you throw it and go.
Oh no! Well, that's
It's orange and black.
okay. Well, that's what the the Vortex would do as well.
Oh, it would whistle
It
too.
would whistle. Yeah, and I remember me and my friend would throw it over the street. So we would like, I would be in because I had a friend that lived across the street, and I would be in my my yard, he'd be in his front yard, and we throw it back and forth, and do it that
thing
way.
was funny, dude.
It
See,
is
like talking about
so
all this stuff, I'm like, man, I need to go on eBay and get a Nerf whistler. I need to go on this and get this.
And those Nerf
Wild.
guns, man. Do you remember getting like they'd be like the water guns, but they'd be like they'd have like the backpacks, and it'd be like it'd be like the Super Soaker 8000, and it'd blow your face off.
So he just says, so I do have a
Oh.
Super Soaker 50 right now. I have it here. It's the coolest one in my opinion. It's kind of like a little smaller though, but I love the 50. I still have it. So I'm going to tell you a story about the Super Soakers. And then there was another story we were going to tell too. I don't remember what it was. What did we say at the beginning? I said, "Oh, let's talk about that later." I said, "I have a story about that too."
Something about a smell. Something about you had a present that smell.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right, so memory lane, guys. I love doing this. I don't know if you guys like to hear me talk about it, but okay. So we were little, probably like 10, 11. Super Soakers were big. I was at my buddy Randy's house, who I think I talked about earlier. He's the kid who had the Power Glove.
Mm-hmm.
And his house was a log cabin. It was set up kind of weird. And his mother or his parents' bedroom was like kind of in the it was a finished basement, but they had the whole finished basement was like a big suite, basically. Their bed was there. They had like these, I can still remember it was like the, glass doors that opened up into like a porch that overlooked. It was they had built the house. It was beautiful. And down there was like a mini living room, and that's where they had Nintendo. So we were playing a game called Dodgeball, which was like a 4-player game or whatever. They had like some kind of adapter, and it was a sick game. And I can remember my friend Randy's little brother getting pissed because he kept losing. And finally my friend was like, "All right, you're done playing. You suck," or whatever. So he marches upstairs, and my brother's down there, and me and my friend Randy are down there. And his brother Craig came downstairs with that fucking Super Soaker with the backpack on. He marched downstairs and just went and unloaded on all of us on the couch and shit. And like my friend Randy's like jumping off behind the couch, and he's trying to run away, and he's just like he's housing everybody with this thing. Wow. And we're all hiding like behind the bed, and like he's coming around like squaring us. And I remember looking at my brother and being like, "This is his parents' room, like bedroom." And I can remember his mother coming down and being like, "What the hell?" He's down there like hosing us down with that Super Soaker 200.
That's hilarious.
Bedroom. And I was like, this kid's so ballsy. Like I'm thinking if that was my house, I'd be dead.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure he got in trouble, right?
Oh, he was so much. We had to go. It was his whole to do, but I'll never forget that, man. That like he had the balls to just be like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna unload on all these dudes like in my parents'
That's
bedroom."
Hilarious. That is funny, man.
Dave Collins says his friend peed in a Super Soaker and then sprayed.
Oh man.
Maybe it was the 300. I thought it was a 200, but yeah, it was one of those big ones. I remember he had that damn thing, and the smell story. I've told this, I think, before, but when I was a kid, I was a big into He-Man. He-Man was like my favorite and my first big action figure line growing up. Mm-hmm. And they had this figure called Stinkor, which was a skunk. And the gimmick was that this thing smelled like shit, like gross. Mm-hmm. And even in the commercial, they'd show it, and then He-Man would be like, "Oh, you stink," and he'd run away. So, and it would say at the end, like, "Stinkor now available with real stinky skunk smell." And I bought it, and I was like, "This thing is rad!" Like, but it smelled so weird and terrible. Mm-hmm. And then what happens, you mix them in with your figures, and then they all smelled like because of this damn thing. Yeah. And I can remember in middle school, maybe middle school or maybe high school, this hippie girl got on the bus, and I'm sitting in the seat, and she walked by, and I go, is that smell? I go,
"Oh my God,
that smells like Stinkor, like the figure."
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, what the hell? And I was sitting in my seat, and I'm like, I hadn't smelled that for probably 10 years. But as soon as I got a whiff of that, I was like, what? Like, why does this girl smell like that skunk figure? Like, I had no clue why she smelled like that. Well, come to find out, once I got older, I was researching things. I think I'm even looked it up, Stinkor smell or whatever. They use patchouli oil as the smell.
Okay.
So I had never smelled that before. And I guess there was a period of time where women or girls or whatever like would use that as like a perfume.
They're walking around just smelling
but
like
my only association with that was that was like a skunk, god-awful skunk smell.
Yeah.
But I can remember this girl in middle school, whatever, would wear patchouli oil as like her perfume. And every time she walked by, I'm like, fucking that skunk.
Oh man.
And it was so funny that smell of patchouli oil is like embedded in my brain since I was a kid. Because
that is hilarious.
That damn figure.
Garrett,
if anybody else remembers that Stinkor figure, let me know, because that thing all my figures are marinated in the toy box in that thing. And it was just brutal.
I do not remember that, man, but dang. So I bet, did your broom smell bad?
No, not really. Like it didn't, but like if I had them all in a toy box and I opened that toy box, you
Mhm.
could get a smell. Like it wasn't overwhelming, but like you got a scent as soon as you open that
Yeah.
toy box. And they recently came out with a new version of him for the new line, and it was the smell. So I bought him again. And he's got the smell, but it's not as like potent as it was back then. But it's
Yeah.
the same smell, yeah.
Yeah. Parents would
Um,
probably complain.
but it's so funny that I remember just being that like not smelling that for 10 years and smelling it and being like, oh my God, why does this go like that?
I do want to say, like, around Christmas, when you went to the mall, you always rode on the train, the Christmas
Hell yeah,
train.
dude.
There's me with, I don't know, I'm rocking the Michigan shirt or something. But I also have a picture. It's me trying to rip off Santa's beard.
You knew something was up, didn't you?
Yeah. And then I think it's them telling me not to do it. Like, don't do that.
That
But
is
yeah,
awesome.
I remember the day I wanted to rip it off so bad, his beard. It was very. But anyways, this is not Christmas, but I found it and it made me laugh. But it's me and my sister. But look at this mullet I got.
Dude, hell yeah. Look at the both haircuts, dude.
I know. Look at that. We're rocking something back
Don't
then.
you
in
kind
the
of wish
early
you could do
90s.
that now?
No, I don't.
What? What?
No, dude. I think mullets look so bad on people now. I don't
Justin's
understand
gonna
it
do
coming
one,
back.
I think.
Well, that's cool for Justin. No, I think mullets should stay in the
In the 80s?
in the 80s or the trailer parks.
I had kind of a mullet as a kid. Not to that extent. It was long in the back, but not that long.
So
But,
just
yeah,
like
definitely.
yeah, man, I was ready.
It's awesome though.
My
I
achy
love
breaky heart.
I love it. I like your sister's too. Hers is sick.
I know.
Hers is like Lost Boys or something. Like
I don't.
Keeper.
It is Keeper. Look, her shirt's cool too. Look at that shirt. Cry little sister. Look at her, man. She's... Dude, and we're on a wicker chair. What's up with these wicker chairs back then, man? Or I'm on a wicker chair.
Thing, man. They were the thing.
Me and my maroon shirt. But yeah, I saw that and it cracked me up.
I love it.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, this was fun as hell going back in time. You know, talking about this time of year, which to me is still a magical memory to me because it was such a special time. And like you said, you were that kid who woke up at the ass crack of dawn to go open those gifts. I'm sure you will like me, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this live and on the replay probably felt this way too. But I was the type of kid where, man, that night, Christmas Eve going into Christmas morning was like the worst night of my life. Like it wouldn't end. Like I remember laying there thinking to myself, like, this doesn't end this night. And usually you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and it's time for school. And then that night it was like you were up every like half hour and it just felt like the night would never end. And I almost at a point where I'm like, I would die for a night like that right now. Like where you like, it feels like you're sleeping forever, you know, like as soon as you close your eyes, you're like, oh, I'm up. I got to go to work.
I know.
Where back then it was like that night never ended. And I can remember sneaking out to go to the bathroom and peeking in there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff that sleep, man.
Dude, yeah, dude, that was my favorite. Was going to the bed. Like I saw a couple hours ago, but I'd look out and see like like the lights were dim. The lights were like we had a dimmer, so the lights were kind of dim, and then we had the Christmas lights on, and you knew Santa was there because like our stockings were full and we had more stuff under. So I was just like, wow, that's cool. That'd be so exciting. And then I couldn't sleep, and it was harder to get back to sleep.
Now, did you have a house that your stuff was downstairs, or was it a single floor?
It was single floor.
Yeah, mine too. So like, we would always set ours up in like this living room area, and I always have to, from where my room was, for me to get to the bathroom, I'd had to pass it. So I'd always like look in, and then that's how I knew. Like I'm like, all right, he came.
It's got stuff for parents. Being like, man, these kids are gonna come out. Like it would be hard to do it. Like, does your son come out and look at all, or
not yet? No,
not yet.
No.
Okay.
And you know what else is crazy too is I think about how my house is big, but my house growing up was small. So like it still boggles my mind the lengths that they had to go through to hide everything. It boggles my mind that the magic that they had to do to make this work. Now, dude, I like his shit's fucking right here. Like, in my head, I'm just hoping he doesn't walk in this room ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're not even like hiding it anymore. Like it's kind of just like in like a closet where like he could easily just open, where back then, like I remember
they were
searching around that house and finding nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
And all of a sudden waking up the next day and there's 2 bikes in the living room. And I'm like, where the hell did
Where
these
this
come
bike
from?
go?
Like,
Yeah.
like
Dude,
where did this come from?
You know what my grandma did? She put stuff in a place where I could find it. So I think that's like, so there's like 3 things. I was like, oh wow, I'm getting this and that. And at Christmas, I'm like, where did this stuff come from? It's like this was not in the stash that I was looking at, kind of thing.
It's weird. Like, so I asked my dad, like, dude, like, how did you do it? Like, where did the bikes come from? Like, where could you have hid them? We know the house like for like the back of our hand, and they were like at his work. So like on Christmas Eve, we'd go to my grandmother's until 9 o'clock at night. They'd come home. My mother would put us to bed. He'd go to work, get the bikes, come back, and then set them all up. And I'm like, man, you guys were troopers, dude.
That's awesome, though, man.
You know, it's just wild to think the extent they went through to like hide certain things or whatever.
That's so cool.
But memories, man, and it's cool to see. We've had like a great crowd tonight, guys. Like you guys, we've had a lot of people in here tonight. This is awesome. Now, some great stuff coming out of this show. The biggest ones is like Big Rod said, the best advice I had never took was enjoy it while you're young. I agree 100%. Enjoyed, guys. Never slept during that time. I was a little shit 100%. And that's, again, as crazy as it was the magic of the time. And I don't know if kids are like that. Maybe they are. Mine isn't. When you're a kid, you want to be an adult. When you're an adult, you want to be a kid. I say that to him all the time. Christmas is like the wonderful material encapsulated of an entire year of childhood. 100%. Yeah,
I mean, do you watch The Office at all?
I did. I haven't seen it since it's been over, but I did watch it when it was live. Yeah.
So one of my favorite quotes ever is in the last episode. Like Andy Bernard says it, and I forgot what the quote is, but he's all like, "I wish someone would tell you you were in the good old days when you're still in the good old days," kind of thing. I was like, I think about that all the time, and it's so true.
100%. I mean, it really is.
Because Garrett, one day we're gonna sit back and be like, this was the rad dudes. This was the good old days. You know, like
100%. 100%. We're gonna do it. I mean, of course, you look at any part of your life and you feel like, man, I would love to be able to do that again. I'd love to even stuff that to me feels like it was only 10 years ago. I still think to myself, oh man, remember me and my buddies used to do this. I'd love to do that again. And it's just time just goes and things change, and you've gotta not take things for granted anymore. Like, and as kids, we did a lot. I think
we live in a fast life. We just gotta remember and just be kind, take care of each other, and just remember this is going to be gone someday. So,
and that's why the fact that there's 75 people right now still hanging out with us is huge. On a Wednesday night at midnight, at least where I am. I'm not Wednesday. It's a Tuesday night. Oh my God. Well, Dude, Wednesday morning, I guess.
I keep thinking tomorrow's Friday, and boy, am I going to be disappointed tomorrow.
I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that I don't have to, on Wednesdays is good because I don't have to go to work till later, but I do have to get him to school in the morning. But I mean, yeah. And like we said, just so happy you guys wanted to hang out with us tonight. Gus, I see you in here, brother. We're just about to close shop, but
Gus Goose.
Go subscribe to Cody at Doodles Movies. Like I said, that 90s, he's doing 90s month, so I'm sure he's got more stuff coming. But that video with the dips and the spreads is one you guys have to check out.
I'm having issues with my newest video. It won't upload. So I'm behind, but it's coming soon. I'm going back and I'm re-editing stuff. It was 25 minutes, so I'm cutting it down to try to do 15 minutes. But it just sucks because I put a lot of tender love and care in this video because the subject means a lot to me, and it just won't upload, man.
Are you uploading it through your phone or computer?
Through my computer, my laptop. I don't know what it is.
I was having some upload issues the other day, and my brother's like, maybe it's because you do it all through your phone. And definitely go subscribe to Cody, guys, if you like this stuff. He puts out great stuff, and all of his videos are super entertaining.
Thank you.
And like I said, guys, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. If you like this and you're watching live or on the replay, if you're into this, go check out last year's episode. So if you go into my playlist, you can just look up Rad Dudes, and it's got all the Rad Dudes episodes we've done. And we like to use these shows to kind of go back in time and, think about the memories and nostalgia. And that's what you're going to find when you watch a lot of our stuff. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, maybe Garrett can link it in the description and after this
I
video.
will.
Or after.
I'll link your
after the stream.
channel. I'll link the Rad Dudes playlist and stuff like that. So go check out some more episodes. Super fun. We'll be back. I still have Radpack Christmas this month. I've got a Corey Haim 90s ranking coming up on Saturday. So there's a lot going on the channel over here. Cody's got stuff going on his channel over there. And
90s
guys,
month right
thank
now,
you.
guys.
90s month. What else? Is there anything you can, any hints on any specific 90s-esque videos you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, man, I got a King of 94 video coming out real soon. I got some Simpsons stuff to talk about and maybe some soundtrack stuff.
Love it.
It's coming
And
soon.
guys, this is Garrett and Cody. And if we don't talk to you, man, have a Merry Radmas, and we will see you guys soon.
Have a funky, funky Christmas.